My name is Michael, and for most of my life, I thought I knew who my aunt really was. She was quiet, gentle, the kind of woman who kept her heart tucked away behind soft smiles and long silences. But after she passed, I discovered a truth she never shared with anyone. A truth hidden in a sealed envelope, buried in her attic for more than 40 years. I wasn't prepared for what I found that morning. I wasn't prepared to learn that my aunt who lived and died alone once loved someone so deeply it changed the course of her entire life, and that the only record of that love was a letter she never sent. I found the letter on a quiet Sunday morning, in an attic that still smelled like dust, old books, and the faint perfume my aunt used every day of her life. She had been gone for a month, and the house felt hollow without her soft footsteps and her warm, tired smile. I wasn't looking for anything in particular. I just wanted to feel close to her again, even if that meant digging through decades of memories packed into boxes she never opened. The box that changed everything was small, wrapped in fading floral paper that looked like it belonged to a different era. On the top, written in her delicate handwriting, were 4 words that made my breath stop. For when I'm gone, inside were a few fragile photographs, a dried flower pressed between yellowed pages, and 1 sealed envelope. Unlike everything else in the box, the envelope looked untouched, as if she had sealed it and never dared open it again. On the front, written in a way I had never seen her write before, almost trembling were the words, "To Daniel, I'm sorry." I froze. I didn't know any Daniel. My aunt had lived a quiet life. She never married, never had children, and never spoke of any great love. She always said some people simply weren't meant for romance. But the envelope in my hands told a different story. With slow, careful fingers, I opened it. The letter was dated June 12, 1978. "My dearest Daniel," it began, "there hasn't been a single day when you haven't crossed my mind. I write this not to disturb your life, but because these words have nowhere else to go." My chest tightened. I kept reading. "You asked me once why I pushed you away. Why I told you we could never be. I lied. I lied to protect my family. I lied because I thought I wasn't good enough for you. And I lied because the truth loving you terrified me." I suddenly realized I was shaken. My aunt had always been gentle, but distant, as if she lived behind an invisible wall. I used to think that was just who she was. Now I wondered if that wall had been built around this very moment in her life. "You made me feel seen," she wrote. "You made me feel safe in a world where I had learned to hide everything tender inside me. When you held my hand, I felt like I could breathe for the first time. But fear won. I let you go because I didn't believe I deserved a future with you." The ink on certain lines was darker, almost smudged, as if her tears had fallen while she wrote. "I kept every memory of you, the way you looked at me like I mattered, the way you laughed at things I didn't even know were funny. You told me love was worth fighting for, and I didn't fight. I still regret that. I wish I had been braver. I wish I had chosen you." I had to stop reading for a moment. My aunt had spent her whole life alone. I always assumed she preferred it that way. But now I saw the truth. She had loved someone so deeply that losing him had changed everything after. Then came the line that felt like a crack through the center of my chest. "If this letter ever reaches you, know that I loved you. I always did. And I never stopped." I read it again. And again. The words felt alive, like they had been waiting decades for someone to hear them. At the bottom of the envelope, folded neatly, was a small photograph. My aunt, young and radiant, stood beside a tall man with kind eyes, his arm around her shoulder. They looked happy effortlessly, naturally happy. On the back of the photograph, written in faint ink, were the words "Daniel and me, the day I said goodbye." I stared at it for a long time. Longer than I should have. I tried to imagine what their last day together looked like, what she said to him, whether he understood, whether he walked away believing she didn't love him, when in truth she loved him too much to stay. I wondered if Daniel had married someone else, if he ever searched for her, if he kept a box somewhere with memories of a woman he once loved, or if he spent his life wondering why she disappeared without explaining the truth. But I knew I would never have answers. I placed the letter gently back in the envelope and held it against my chest. The attic felt colder now, as if the air itself carried the weight of the stories she had hidden for so long. For the first time since her passing, I cried, not because she was gone, but because she had lived with a pain I never knew existed. A quiet, lifelong ache, shaped like regret. As I left the attic, I opened the small window, letting the afternoon light spill into the room. It touched the boxers, the dust, the place where she once stood and wrote the words she was too afraid to send. I didn't take the letter with me. I put it back in the box where she chose to keep it. Some stories remain unfinished. Some loves never reach the people they were meant for. And some letters arrive decades too late.